you all can hear me. Yes, no.
You are
Yeah.
audible. Please, everyone, just ping in
Yeah,
through the
okay.
chat so that it can be
So,
visible
so
to the speaker.
again, thanks to Sangviji,
Welcome, sir.
today we can see there are a lot of HR conferences happening. Every day, every morning, you see somebody is talking on a leadership communication success. But this IR and this domestic inquiry and talking to unions and confronting with multi-location union guys, these are all things that are not otherwise there on the conference stages. So I was very happy to see that somebody's got up and start talking about IR.
Thank
So
you,
I
sir.
got very much geared up saying that अभी आज मजा आएगा कुछ बात करने का. And that too, Mr. Sonavane talked about lot of things, explained lot of things about intricacies of disciplinary action and all that. So, let me start with a small score that I have, so far I have conducted more than 5,000 inquiries. Maybe from a different role I have played, like, a role of inquiry officer, a role of, the major role in the disciplinary action is the disciplinary action committee is supposed to take, a global view of the everything that is happening under the under the different establishment. Maybe you are on a multi-locational responsibility and all that. So, I was even a part of disciplinary action committee. Recent 4 programs which I had was I had conducted programs on a disciplinary action for unions. As to how do you stand up with the management and start, defending yourself. That was a very good experience which I had. So, when we get a time, specifically, we'll talk about that. So let me start with, I think you have given me a right to share. Yes, no.
Yes, I have given it,
Can
so
I
you
can
are the
I
host.
share?
Yes, yes, it is
Can
coming.
I share?
Yes, yes,
Can
you
I
can
share?
share. Yes.
Yeah. Is it visible now?
Now visible. Go ahead.
Is it visible? Okay, very good. So, this is my introduction, and the second slide is an agenda.
The
The
slide is
first
not
is
coming here. Only the that one full screen where you have the multiple files are there. So I think you have been picked the full screen to share. Just go to the particular file so that that could become to into screen
now.
sharing.
Is it now visible?
No, it
Now
is the full screen.
I have shared the screen.
No, you share the screen, but there is only coming. Yeah, now it is visible. Okay,
Okay,
thank
so
you.
as per your guidance and everything, I have a 5 agenda to focus.
Yes, rightly. You
Okay,
are on perfectly to the
Uh,
line with our topic.
okay. So the first is what is poor performance. So before we get into what is poor performance, let us understand what is performance. Then let us understand what is poor. So to start and constructively use the 30-40 minutes whatever you and me have. So I expect all seniors sitting here. Let us have a very good interaction and co-create a learning. Does not mean that whatever I say is a benchmark and a milestone kind of thing. So each bullet I have mentioned 6 points, and I want all of you to add 2 points to what I am saying.
Right. This
Okay,
is going
and
to be more
also
interactive. So everyone, please come
okay,
up with
okay, okay,
your thoughts.
and what you can do is when I show you what is poor performance and how it is measured and communicated, I have mentioned 6 points. Okay, you very rightly talked about the employees part of it, where specifically in today's scenario, the labor laws are not applicable to employees. Everybody knows it better. But now, as far as code is concerned, again, ID Act has no provision. IR code has no specific provision referring to what employees disciplinary action is. It is again, if you see the definition of an industrial dispute, तो उसमें भी वर्कमैन ही लिखा है. Okay, so any dispute pertaining to employees not part of industrial dispute. Let us understand that first.
Yes,
Okay,
definitely.
correct. So now the second part which is left out to you and me is how do we handle workman part of it? Number one. Number two is how do we handle in absence of IR code not talking about employees? How do we handle those disciplinary actions? Are very important.
Yes,
because
right.
उसमें उसमें क्या सबसे ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है, because there are no industrial disputes act, no IR code, no industrial standing orders applicable to them. तो ये सब कानून जब इनको लागू नहीं पड़ते हैं, let us be very specific, then how do we handle disciplinary action? Which are all the rules, regulations other than ID Act and Industrial Labour Standard applicable to employees, and that we take a cognizance and then initiate disciplinary action and make sure that the performance is truly handled by employee specific. So I think, are we on track?
Yes, we are
Okay.
on track. Please
Yeah, okay,
go ahead.
okay. So my next slide is, what is poor performance? So I have 6 points. One is the performance basically is defined by HR. Like when we issue an appointment letter, we do write that the compensation which I am paying you 30, 40, 50, 60 lakhs, I expect you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. Okay. So as against the performance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, otherwise we call it KPI, KPA, goal, objective. There are multiple names through which we recognize performance. That is one way of you and me taking cognizance when the performance is poor. Okay, the standards are decided in an appointment letter. That is number one. The number two is law defined performance. That is basically for workmen, not for employees. Okay, so I have a question to ask you, friends. Which are all the other documents which are HR defined talking about performance? One is your appointment letter. Second is the code of conduct which is attached to appointment letter. I'm giving an example. Okay, you can add value to what I am saying. Second is the code of conduct which is attached to an appointment. Third is the great initiative that you and me have is called PMS. Okay, now what is the validity of PMS in case of poor performance and the disciplinary action is a matter of debate that you and me can have, and then invoke those provisions for creating a disciplinary action specifically when the performance is poor. Now the area of concern for you and me as an IR and HR person is how the standards of a performance are decided. Now let us take an example. Let us run through an example. For example, a maintenance manager. He is supposed to handle 20 machines, and all 20 machines, the breakdown ratio is more than 10%. So in otherwise, his performance is likely to be, it is graded as poor because out of 22 machines are all the times, is not working. So standard of performance, I'm giving an example, like, take an example of a marketing or a salesperson who is supposed to do a sales of 20 lakhs every month. But he is doing a sales of 20 lakhs every month, but he is not collecting money. तो खाली सेल्स करने से कुछ फायदा नहीं होगा because until and unless he doesn't collect money from, so this is basically a poor performance. I'm giving an example. Okay, you can add value to and you can write it in a chat box. The example which I have given you, one is an appointment letter. Second is the code of conduct. Third is your PMS. Now, what is fourth? Fourth, again, I'm giving an example, the conditional increment that we have given. Like instead of 9%, I am giving you 12% increment subject to you or proving your performance to be better. So number fourth is when you promote somebody, you elevate somebody, you put a condition that now you started working on from executive to senior executive. So you are supposed to perform in a better fashion. Say I'm giving an example specifically with reference to employees. अगर workman का देखना है तो the laws are very sound, giving you different sections and वगैरह वगैरह काफी कुछ मिलता है उसमें. You can catch somebody's neck and squeeze very the way you think, like following the procedure that law has talking about. Now third one is judiciary, fourth one is mutually agreed. Like you and me agreed saying that I will demonstrate my performance in an XYZ manner. This becomes a document for me and you to, initiate a disciplinary action saying that you already have agreed and you are not performed. Okay. Now the binding effect. Now what we have written is in the first bullet, what is poor performance and how it is measured and communicated. Now, I have a suggestion saying that this communicated has to be replaced by binding effect. Because if I communicate somebody, he may not agree to that and may not become binding to the parties to the dispute. So instead of that, let us create a binding effect for the purpose of making somebody to perform in a right fashion, the way we expect him to perform. Okay, now I've mentioned here 6 points. Would you like to add a few more? Like I'll give you an example. For example, if you're working with a bank, so bank they will have their own rules and regulations in addition to standing orders and all that. So banking service rule, insurance companies, they have their own rules. Like they have certain notifications demanding performance. So which are all the others? You can put it in a chat box. This is what the presence of all of us will enrich the time that we have invested in. So who would like? Would you like to add two more? Would you like to add two more?
Yes, anyone, please.
No, to provoke discussion, I'll give you one more example. The example is the settlement with the workman. Like a very good clause that we are providing in the settlement is that your soft skill, your hard skill, your incremental value finally giving you certain money at the end of the settlement. We give them an undertaking that to get this benefit, I'll perform like X, Y, Z.
Here
So
are
this is
some
the
that are response on the chat. So Sharad and Kolekar undertaking letter from employees. Dheeraj Dubey objective and
okay.
targets. Sharad Chandra ji appointment goal setting KRA define. Then
Yes, yes, yes,
Krushanand
yes,
goal
yes.
setting documents.
Okay, okay, okay. Now
Sir,
I'll give
also,
one more example to provoke the discussion is your incentive settlement. Like every month, in addition to salary, you get an incentive. So this is the incentive settlements are also the most important documents taking cognizance of which you can initiate a disciplinary action saying that the standard says that you have not performed the way you were expected to perform. Okay, so now the point which I'm trying to convey to all friends that when we initiate a disciplinary action does not specifically mean that we should take a cognizance of industrial employment standing orders only. Say, we had conducted certain programs wherein I could find out the way I'm giving you 6 points. There are 32 documents जिसका हम cognizance लेके disciplinary action initiate कर सकते हैं and it is binding to the party. So there are 32 documents. If the time permits, we will have a different conference and we'll get into details of which are all the documents taking cognizance of which you can accelerate the performance commercially. Okay. So you got two responses, no? So
Yes.
any other,
Someone was want to speak. So yes.
yeah, please go ahead, open your mic and then
yeah,
add
sir.
value.
Yeah, here what we found
Yeah, Rubin.
effective, apart from
Yeah,
the points which you have highlighted,
yeah.
feedback, periodic feedback. For our salespeople, we have introduced monthly feedback system. So, what are those expectations from the management was there? We write down and incorporate that things. And what are those area need to be improved? We write down and incorporate. So, this is one of the major tool which found to assess the performance and to compare with the with his efforts and others. So
So
we found it is very useful.
you said very rightly, we had designed a system specifically for marketing and sales people that we had a 3 month, just a half yearly periodic performance review hota hai. Then we had divided the performance assessment into three parts. One is fully achieved, second is partially achieved, and third is not at all achieved. So when there are persons who is not achieved, it is his boss's responsibility to accelerate his performance and put him back to either partially achieved or fully achieved. So thereafter we designed a concept called a CID. CID stands for consistency, improvement, and deterioration. The first focus for you and me as an HRIR person is the deterioration. The second is consistency is more important than in improvement. Improvement तो बहुत दूर की बात है. But if somebody is trying to create and maintain consistency is the biggest achievement for you and me people. Number one. Number two is it's very, very right input that you gave us. Now, what else is the document taking cognizance of which you accelerate the performance? You very rightly said. The last one, you in addition to bonus, you give ex gratia. Yes, no. Correct. But all the ex gratia which are given to employees are unconditional. I have never seen it is linked to performance. I'm very sure you are all agreeing with me. In the past, we have designed a system whenever we give money to people, which is not part of bonus, but an ex gratia, has to be conditional. These are all opportunities. If you see payment of bonus at section 31A is talking about what? Is talking about that only, that you can between the range of 8.33 to 20%, you can link it to production incentive and accelerate your output, giving the same bonus in a different way.
Are you sharing the presentation? You just speaking over here.
I don't know. Can you see the
No,
presentation?
no presentation is here.
Okay. Now can you see?
No.
Okay. Let me reload it. But the discussion can continue.
Yeah,
These six
discussion can
points.
be, because someone is asked into the
This,
chat, so that's why I'm confirming. Maybe.
please. No,
Yeah,
I'm with
here,
you.
sir, can you please clarify that the differential amount of over and above 8.33 to 20%, this amount can be categorized in say, production link or the productivity link?
Yes, you can specifically sign a settlement with the workman stating that these bonus, देखो bonus का actually मतलब क्या होता है? What is the synonym of a bonus? The synonym of bonus is the profit sharing.
Yeah.
The synonym I am saying, this is not there in the specifically in the bonus act, but इसका exactly मतलब ये होता है that you are sharing a profit. And profit is what? Profit is the productivity, production, output, your revenues, your PAT, everything. The bonus starts only from the starting point of a bonus is what? It is the gross profit. The first step of calculation of bonus is what? This is what bonus is. So this is what you can read section 31A. I have signed multiple settlement with the union and I have forced the contractor as well to sign those kind of settlements giving maximum benefit, finally generating profit. देखो बाकी 20% तो आप ऐसे दे ही देते हैं, but it has no commercial and productivity value through which you either, देखो हर एक exchanges में disciplinary action लेना बहुत जरूरी नहीं है. It is without you initiating disciplinary action, if you are getting an output out of them, so why to use disciplinary action? Finally, I believe myself that disciplinary action is a last resort for that should be invoked when बंदा जब बिल्कुल rigid हो जाता है, then only you should invoke those particular disciplinary action and then start acting against it. I'm sure you are all with me.
Yeah.
Any input on this? Any input on this?
Yes, sir. Agree with you.
Completely agree, sir.
Yeah, okay. So the next is the valid reason for dismissal and circumstances in which you seek specialist legal advice. Correct? No? Okay. So the second is valid reasons for dismissal and circumstances in which seek specialist legal advice. Now, the disciplinary action when we initiate, we have been entrusted, you and me have been entrusted with a great responsibility of playing a role of judiciary. So my role is what? My role is to make sure that whatever I do is acceptable not only by the chartered employees, but all the stakeholders as well. Okay. Now when we talk about dismissal, now it is visible.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Now, when we're talking about dismissal, basically dismissal is an ultimate punishment. So, ultimate punishment के लिए ये performance is not the right, misconduct that finally should lead to termination. So, if you otherwise refer to section 11A, the equilibrium, how do you maintain? तो you can refer to different judgments. ये जो judgments है ना, so these judgments basically are divided into two parts. One is when the dismissal is held to be justified, and the second one is when the dismissal is held to be unjustified, which are all the reasons you can make a different studies and then conclude finally that which are all performance standards which does not substantiate dismissal. Okay, when you think that the dismissal finally does not substantiate to the poor performance, then go for a legal advice. This is what I am trying to tell you. Number one. Number two is you and me will be needing specifically legal advice in a three different phases. One is before you initiate disciplinary action. Number one, I'm sure you all are noting it down. Number one. Number two is during the process of inquiry. And third is when you're finally deciding the severe punishment. You refer to the third point. It's the most severe punishment as against the poor performance. Would you be in a position to substantiate that मैंने ये बंदे को dismiss किया and the gravity of a poor performance, to what extent it justified? That's number one. The second is standardized mechanism to justify. देखो इसमें basically क्या है that it is basically an HR's job that poor performance basically is not a surprise. It doesn't come overnight. तो ये तो एक लंबी कहानी है. It does not mean that I is reported for duty today and suddenly I become a poor performer. It's a matter of maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. So sufficient time is given to an employee to make sure that he rectifies this, he improves his performance. From the poor, he becomes an average two. These are all things which you and me supposed to demonstrate it to a legal advisor to substantiate that the dismissal that we are taking, it justifies the action that we are taking. So third one is it is not only we are initiating a disciplinary action against employee, but there are many people who are watching this action. So in addition to the bipartite exchanges between employer and employee, there are other employees also who are watching. So this is what what exactly is the topic today is workplace relations and industrial relations. So अगर एक बंदे के सामने हम डिसिप्लिनरी एक्शन ले रहे हैं तो इसका नोशनल इम्पैक्ट, वी कॉल इट बिलियर्ड बॉल नोशन इम्पैक्ट. तो अगर एक डिसिप्लिनरी एक्शन से दूसरे लोग भी एग्रेवेट होते हैं तो देन वी हैव टू टेक लीगल एडवाइस एंड टेक अ राइट एक्शन अगेंस्ट दी. Now, dismissal connects to gravity of misconduct. Now, देखो, gravity of misconduct basically is an art and science developed by HR and IR people, and there are none of the courts, none of the laws which talks about gravity of misconduct. आपने देखा होगा section 11 specifically talking about disproportionate punishment, but वो proportion कहीं पे भी दिया नहीं. So that is to be developed by you and me when we do a lot of homework while we initiate disciplinary action with him. So 6 points which I have mentioned. Would you like to add with seventh and eighth? Who would like to add to this? Add to what I'm saying and enrich the discussion and the time that we are sparing with all of us.
Yeah, 7th and 8th, I don't want to add. I'm Sharad here.
Yeah, please.
I want to add one point here. Like,
Please.
what we do is instead of a dismissal, we counsel for 3 months. And if his performance, if he or she's performance is not good, we ask him to resign and give the relieving letter. We do the FNF for him, but we don't spoil his career. Being in the pharma and other industries, what we do is we ask him to resign and properly we do his exit formalities and ask him to leave. This is the thing what we are following. Dismissal, we don't do much till now. We don't do. So this is the severity of punishment is we call him because the various reasons are the poor performance is, yes, you cannot judge in 3-4 months, but we have judged that he is not performing well and he is having issues on laboratory works and all, and many scientists We made him move in, say, various other departments also, internally lab, but all the consolidated feedback was his performance was very poor. So we asked him to leave, but with a proper saying that you
I'm
resign,
with
you
you.
we don't spoil your career. So you properly resign and take your leaving and join other company or whatever you want. So this is one thing which we follow, not a stringent IR part, but a very amicable manner we deal with the employees.
Sir, Sharadji, I fully agree with you. Taking input from you, I had designed one very specific program for one full day, and the title of that program is "Are you trained on unplanned separations?" Because what you are saying is an unplanned separations. For example, the example that you are giving happens only in the month of April, May, June, July.
Yes.
Correct. No, I think you are with me.
Yes.
Thereafter, the things get settled and the things continue till the time your performance cycle is over.
Yeah.
And one fine morning, you stand up saying that the HOD comes is saying that ye banda kaam nahi kara, take his paper and get. I don't know what languages are being used. You know it better. You know these are all negative surprises. We should. And today, let me tell you, each one of us, each employee, they are geopolitically very nicely connected.
Yeah.
So,
Now,
this is
next
the
course
surprise
of
that
action will be tougher in
Yeah.
sir,
case.
sir, there are,
Actually, those are, see, any exit employee or any person leaving, he is a ambassador for that company, because
really agree with
once
you.
he leaves, we should not lose him just like that. And once,
Yeah, correct.
because he goes out and spoil about our company is not good.
He is
So,
the brand image, finally.
yeah.
He is
Sir,
the
I'm
brand.
having a connected question on that.
Yeah, please, please,
As
please, go
because
ahead.
we are operating in a trade union environment, so Saratji, what suggestion and mechanism they are following, we are not blessed by that. Sometimes the sales and promotion related employee, basically the MRs, medical representative and other field worker, they are also under the trade union guidelines. So in such cases, proving the performance, non-performance and quantifying the non-performance is a challenge for us. So we take a
Sir,
mechanism. Now
sir,
here,
under the highly unionized atmosphere, I'll tell you one incident that when you ask somebody who is a white collar person, the first representation that you get for advocating that person is with the union guy. Sir, इसको क्यों
exactly,
निकाल रहे हो? Sir, इसको क्यों निकाल रहे हो? Sir, I've
exactly.
worked in an atmosphere where I had a 10 unions. So when you remove a manager, Mr. XYZ, the first advocacy you will get only from those kind of people. That means there are internal connections as well in addition to the poor performance.
Now here, sir, I
These
wanted
are
to
all, these
understand
are
one
all,
thing from you.
yeah, yeah, please, please, let us have a discussion. This is what I wanted somebody to raise voice. Maybe you have all rights to differ from me saying that aap jo bol rahe ho galat hai. This is what is going to add actual value to what we are doing right now, investing 30, 40 minutes that has been given to. I have not yet completed my 10 more slides, but I'll expect Mr. Rubin, please go ahead. You were saying
Yeah,
something.
I'm having a specific, understanding. I wanted to your guidance as because
Yeah,
standing
please, please.
order. Whenever we have, enacted our standing order, and through that particular standing order implementation policy, we need to discuss with the trade union and the tripartite authorities so that that quantum of punishment is being fixed. But at that point
Yes,
of time, this
exactly, exactly.
integrity part, false reporting to the doctor and the selling of these free samples is also a misconduct, but the
Yeah.
quantum of punishment not relate to the termination or dismissal.
Sir, even the law is sir, the law is very silent on quantum of punishment. For example, I'm saying, for example, if you want to issue a warning to somebody, which are all the misconduct, finally giving an authority to tell you that these are all the misconduct specifically meant for warning. These are all the misconduct specifically meant for suspension. These are all the misconduct specifically meant for termination. Dismissal, ये गणित, ये mathematics, ये matrix is nowhere available in the labor laws and the judiciary pronouns as well. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
You are absolutely correct on that. But only thing is that the gravity of the particular act, the misconduct, if it is repetitive, is there any particular modality through which we may able to exhibit that factor of gravity, and we can reach to the conclusion level that we can dismiss that particular person through the
Sir, you are very right. It is your and my job to make sure that the right gravity is picturized. See, when we initiate disciplinary action, what exactly IR में actually होता क्या है? The synonym of IR is what? Is a disciplinary action in a very poor understanding. I'm saying very poor understanding. But IR has got very big platform through which disciplinary action has only 1% of a role that somebody should, like person like you and me should play. Correct? Because I worked in an atmosphere where 50% of employees were union leaders. आपको लगेगा ये 50% of employees, how can there be a union guy? But there are old leaders, there are new leaders, there are committee leaders, there are those committee leaders, there are upcoming leaders, there are aspirant leaders, there are political leaders working in a company. So almost 50% of the employees, there are 7 unions. So 700 तो leader ऐसे ही हो गए. So whatever action you take, forget about performance of employees. देखो the definition of workman में से 3 exclusions हैं. Which are they? One is an armed forces. Second is managerial, administrative, and supervisory salary drawing above 18,000.
Correct.
Correct. But I have studied almost 55 judgments wherein all these managerial, administrative, supervisory people trying to prove that he is a workman.
Exactly.
Correct. So I'll whenever I get a time, I'll share with you the summary of 45 bullets. This is exactly an input of how best you design an appointment letter. So that on the day one, you're cutting his fists trying to say that you cannot prove yourself to be a workman. This is what is the base for initiating disciplinary action. Because the workman is not going to tell that he is a workman. He knows he is a workman. But manager, when you initiate disciplinary action for poor performance, he will first try to find out a shelter that मुझे protection कहाँ से मिलेगा.
This is a fancy designation they used to prove.
Yes, fancy designation, and maybe your salary may be 2, 3, 4, 5 lakhs rupees. The judiciary is not going to take cognizance whether you are, M. Venugopal versus divisional bencher of IR with his LIC. The judgment is of 1994. M. Venugopal was what? He's a development officer. He's proven to be a workman. And you're forced to perform. So this judgment you can read it's a school in itself. इतना सारा इसमें से inference draw होता है that Amar Chakravarti versus Maruti. Okay, so I'll give you n number of examples. There is Bala. I have forgotten the name. He's a personal manager proven to be a workman. It's an ultimate example of he is a workman. So how person like you and me can be proven that, sir, am I running short of time? Please do let me know. So this is how the poor performance is being. Now we'll go to the next one. Are we tuned up to the agenda that we have been given?
Yes, yes, not an issue. So we can move maybe
Okay.
20 minutes
Okay.
ahead. So
Okay.
the discussion speaker. So I would like to request you, please
So what
give
I
us
have
some
done
time
is,
for the extending this next session, maybe by 6:15 or 20.
sir,
Because this
what
is
I have
most
done
interactive
is,
session is going on. We are extending
sir,
this time frame.
सर व्हाट आई हैव डन इज, देखो ये सब में देयर इज डिसिप्लिनरी एक्शन है ना, इसका प्रोसीजर कोई भी कानून में नहीं लिखा है. तो इट इज बेसिकली अ प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ नेचुरल जस्टिस जो मुझे प्रिंसिपल, इट इज बेसिकली प्रिंसिपल PNJ ड्रिवन एक्टिविटी, and it is majorly influenced by different judicial pronouncement including that of ये वो टीवी वाला कौन सा था, forgotten. I'll open my book and then I'll tell you the school of discipline, the school of, I'll say, disciplinary action. I'll find out and I'll tell you I've gathered almost 60 judgments through which we learn how best we initiate disciplinary action, making सबसे ज्यादा procedural impact has got an importance in the eyes of judiciary. Judiciary does what? You have been given the authority to allege somebody, then try to. It is a fact finding. Fact finding cannot be mollified. In fact, okay. So whatever procedure and the process that you follow, if it is fair and just, then the 11A बीच में आएगा नहीं. The court has no right to settle an equilibrium provided if the domestic inquiry procedure is mollified, maybe with a bad intention, something like that. So I've seen many judgments trying to give you and me an inference that the system which has been decided by the judiciary has to be followed stringently to make sure that the fact finding, the process is very good. So what I have done is I have developed, for the purpose of summarizing, I have developed one very good, I don't know, that screen is not visible to me here. Can you see my screen, sir?
No,
No,
not as of
No,
now.
sir.
So kindly share.
PPT दिख नहीं रहा है ना?
Yes.
And that is very important, sir. Your PPT is very valuable.
No, I'll share with you. Don't worry. I have designed an SOP of almost 55 points of disciplinary action, and it
Wow.
is 89 slides. And in India, it is circulated to almost 20,000 HR people, and I'll circulate it to this Mr. Sangvi as well to make sure that it is
Definitely, it will go to all the
it
participants.
should go to
Thank
all
you
the
very much, sir.
participants, and I'll give it to you all. It has already been. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, it
Yeah,
is
sir.
visible.
Now it's visible.
So what I'll do is I'll immediately go to the last slide because it is a summary of everything that I have done. Okay, so this summary I have concluded into 3 by 6 by 6 by 6. One is a category. First is against
Just
whom
zoom
you
your
were.
screen so it would be better to all the participants can see
So
that.
against whom you were.
It's
Can you
fine,
see
sir.
now?
It's fine.
Can you see now?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. तो देखो हर एक ट्रेनिंग हर एक कॉन्फ्रेंस का एक बेसिक पर्पस विच आई हैव अंडरस्टूड फ्रॉम सीनियर्स लाइक यू दैट हाउ यू रिकॉल दिस because after the training everything is forgotten. Okay. After the learning everything, even people don't remember the date when the training program was conducted. So okay, I mean you all will agree with me. So against whom you are initiating disciplinary action is most important. One is managerial, second is administrative, third is supervisory, fourth is a workman, fifth is a contract labor. Because there are contractor, he himself is an employer, he has a power to initiate disciplinary action, and within one premises there has to be an equilibrium between and amongst different employees. Model standing orders has 6 different category of workmen enumerated in the initial section. Okay, and the contractor has got the same model standing orders applicable to him. So when the judicial scrutiny happens, the equilibrium between and amongst all the category of employees is being viewed from the very close view. The sixth one is atypical workforce. I want you to add 2 more here. Which category of employee against whom you initiate disciplinary action? I mentioned 6. Who others are there? Let us add value to, I mean, and let us create a learning kind of thing. तो और दो इसमें क्या ऐड हो सकता है? I'll give you one input. That is outsourced employee.
Consultant type.
Consulting, yes. Very well. What is an eighth one? One is the answer which I give you is this outsourced employee. Of course they are part of contract, But outsource basically, you know it better than me that there are three different types of outsourcing. Okay, and when we will get into details of which all these three kinds of outsourcing are there. So these are all category of employees against whom we initiate disciplinary action in addition to simply talking about a workman. Okay, so the next one, I mean, we have to get some input on the eighth point. Because there are persons above manager as well.
Leadership.
Leadership against whom ये जो corporate governance का जो concept आया, that has come only from the senior people. Okay, so that has a different style and different ways of initiating disciplinary action for people above general manager, vice president, directors, senior directors, and all that. So, I really don't know. I was involved in, a disciplinary action of very senior people. Wherein you, Mr. Sharad, very rightly said that you gave 3 months notice. वहाँ पे तो 3 घंटे का भी time नहीं मिलता है.
Morning discussion, evening FNF, full and final settlement.
Sir, I know
Instant on table.
Sir, and before the matter gets leaked, the first person to know somebody's dismissal is a union guy.
Correct.
साहब आपने उसको निकाल दिया. So this is how the stakeholders has a lot of importance on disciplinary reaction. This is what I am trying to convey. It does not mean specifically that you are issuing charge sheet show cause followed by fact finding inquiry, then you issue second show cause notice, then you go for 33 approval application and then permission, and then then your idea the dismissal finally comes into picture, and then it is referred to a conciliation finally goes. Correct. So now we'll come to this. The first summary three is what? Gravity, category, gravity, and procedure. The third one is the procedure. That is first three. The second is gravity, the performance standard. Now, if you take if you see the first example of a first standard, if you see the IR code recently, is likely to get notified when you and me know better. Okay, so if you see the schedule 2, the go slow part of it, उसके अंदर explanation 2 is added. This is what exactly the standards of performance. ये जो discussion, ये जो नया insertion है, is basically is brought from Andhra Pradesh state rules, that these standard of performance decided in the year 2003 by Andhra Pradesh first, and the same paragraph is brought here into the IR code, wherein it specifically talks about what happens when you don't have standards. देखो जब भी आपके पास standards है, then it is very easy that my performance against standard 10 is today 6 or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But what happens when there are no standards? You can refer it to that provisions, and those examples are very good in creating gravity and standards of overperformance. Okay. Now the best example to that is 2022 Bata का judgment पढ़ लेना. I think I can show you here. ये Wednesbury principle is again the principle of unreasonableness. ये हम लोग we are talking about reasonableness, but how based your unreasonable is being judiciary का ये बड़ा subject है. This is what this is an explanation. Performance law for I think you can see the screen.
Yes.
आप दिख रहा है ना? The
Yes,
last
yes, it
line
is
you can
visible.
see, I've given the red lines here highlighted. Average of work in the previous 3 months calculated on a daily, weekly, and a monthly basis. When you don't have a standard. Okay, when you initiate disciplinary action, this is very, very popular in case of highly unionized atmosphere. When people they adopt specifically go slow, then how do you initiate disciplinary action? This is what is inserted in IR code. Okay, so I'll go to that slide for any question on this. Now the second most important part is documentation is very important. There are multiple judgments where the judiciary stood up and said that HR people and the management has failed to prove their action technically. Because we do everything the way we like, but we are lagging behind so much that we don't have a document to prove that हमारा action सही है. So most important in the whole procedure of a disciplinary action is the documentation. Now, how do you define poor is again, an area of concern for me. Now, rules and regulation, then intentional. देखो performance किसी का poor है has got two different parts. One is skill scarcity. मुझे कुछ आता नहीं है, so I am not in a position to perform. But मुझे आता सब कुछ है, but I intentionally don't perform. It has a lot of gravity. Correct. This is what somebody said, right? Maybe 10 minutes back. That this intentional. It's really very difficult to prove my intention on document that my performance is poor. For which you and we supposed to do a lot of homework to gather oral and documentary evidences to prove that somebody's performance is very poor, which is intentional. आप कभी आप इंडस्ट्रियल एम्प्लॉयमेंट स्टैंडिंग ऑर्डर्स में देखेंगे तो willful disappointment, तो आगे एक वर्ड लिखा है willful. It is really very difficult to prove that I am willfully demonstrating a poor performance. Now, like I want somebody to add seventh and eighth.
Perform. If
Instigation by the group or
Sir, you very rightly said, if you read the definition of a strike, तो strike के अंदर specifically लिखा है individually or by coalition. Is it an individual poor performance or it is collectively? So there are two more, seventh can be added as an individual poor performance, or the eighth one can be added as a mass or collective poor performance. The right example to what I am saying is a go slow. Go slow का वही example है. That go slow is not an individual thing.
हाँ संजीव शाह.
Okay, now it's very good, Sharad sir, आपने बहुत अच्छा ऐड किया. Now the process in judiciary, will come to the last one and then we'll conclude. Now the incentivized pay. Now one of the punishment that is reduction in salary, उसको fine करना, ये सब की अभी जरूरत नहीं है. That has become very old otherwise. Now
yes,
when we decide a compensation package, normally the companies are putting almost 30-40% is a performance pay. If my performance is maybe at a 5 or maybe at a 6 or 7 or 8, my there is a fluctuation inbuilt in the compensation structure. Okay, and to add creativity to this particular bullet, what I have done is I have introduced one superannuation clause in the appointment letter saying that if your performance is consecutively poor for 5 years, you can be superannuated. So you don't have to remove people, it is automatically being removed. So this is I've recently advised some company that इसको clause में डालो and then forget about disciplinary action specifically on managers or and administrative, and this is what exactly is M. Venugopal versus divisional manager of LIC 1994. अब मेरे पास बहुत सारे जजमेंट्स हैं which I'll give you. ये देखो, these are all judgments, list of judgments specifically of a Supreme Court. ये मैंने हाई कोर्ट का लिया नहीं है, हाई कोर्ट का अलग से स्लाइड्स है. These are all giving you different facets of a disciplinary action. One facet is fair and improper inquiry, United Bank of India. The second one is not proved. देखो अभी आप मेरे पे 2-3 चार्जेस लगाएंगे, does not mean all three are proved. Okay, maybe partially proved, fully proved, or not proved, or whatever it is. So the inquiry report has to, categorically say that all the allegations, alleged to the person, they are either proved, not proved, or partially proved. The second one is violative of principles of natural justice. The biggest crime. ये देखो, principles of natural justice basically a constitutional provision. If you read Article 14, okay, Article 14 is the place of birth for the principles of natural justice. There are many other articles, and there are certain misconducts which even attracts criminal proceedings as well. Okay, तो इसका भी इक्विलिब्रियम का एक नया जजमेंट है which is of 2007, and dismissal from the disruption of, if it is the disruption of an 1 hour work disruption, then the dismissal is, ये जो हमें इक्विलिब्रियम का बात किया था ना, ये इसमें दिख रहा है. You can read this judgment, Nand Kishore Ahirao versus Question, and this is 2000. एक मिनट, I'll tell the 2020 LLR 327. You can read it if you getting into details of what the judgment talks about. इसमें कुछ हाई कोर्ट के भी जजमेंट्स है. बाटा इंडिया also we can refer it to, is giving you different. इसमें हाई कोर्ट का भी है शायद. I think this slide is missing. So we'll go to, if there are no questions, we'll go to the next one. Any questions, input?
Sir, there's one question. You just mentioned that, there was a clause that has been, you have recommended to include a clause for managers.
Yeah.
However, I have seen that, companies would not like to wait for 3 years in case of poor performance in current scenario. Maybe 6 months, 1 year, and they would like to get rid of that person. The patience level of the management or the organizations have drastically reduced. They have become a Maggie management now. Everything needs to be in 2 minutes. So
Yes. I fully agree, sir. But when you read this clause, the effect on the person, is different. Not you are going to invoke that particular. अभी आपके पास appointment letter में एक clause है. If you don't come consecutively for 7 days, discharge simpliciter दे देते हैं. Yes, no. मैं तो आपको 5 साल की बात कर रहा हूँ, but 7 days का भी provision है. But nobody invokes that provision.
agreed.
Otherwise, that is known as ultra virus. You know it. I think you know it better than. So when you put up these kind of clauses that if your performance is consecutively poor for 5 years, you can be superannuated. That gives you a different kick that I should start working. It has a lot of positive impact. Then reading it, one has to read between the lines rather than getting into how best you are invoking that provisions and trying to tell person you can be superannuated. Okay. Any other input? Now, judiciary dismissal and justified, unjustified, these are all different processes through which the disciplinary action has got either positive or a negative impact. Okay, these are all, the 3/6/6 is created taking a global view of IR situation. Does not mean, देखो, if I am in a disciplinary action committee and I have 10 disciplinary actions to be decided and their punishment, I have to take a different view of a disciplinary action per se, I am saying. Okay, because when I decide on 10 different disciplinary actions, it has a notional impact on my IR situation. When you have multidisciplinary scenario, I have not yet spoken about multi-locational scenario. Okay, you have a plant in places maybe 100 kilometers away from your parent plant. If you initiate disciplinary action, will have notional impact on that plant as. So ये जो notional impact होता है, that is what process and the judiciary I am trying to just highlight. So any input on this 7th and 8th? Then I think my time is up and we will close.
Maybe we can go 10 minutes ahead. So within 10 minutes, please close. So then we have to go to the another.
Okay, I have brought one very good concept of management. It is in a lighter mode. Let us not take it in. This is good management. It is an art of making problems so interesting and complicated, and their solutions so constructive and creative that everyone wants to get to work and deal with them. This is another way of looking at the So I think with this, I'm concluding. I'll take a few questions if somebody has, or maybe we can add value to what is being so far discussed. As such, I have consumed your 10 more minutes.
Yeah, yes, please. You are allowed to consume 10 more minutes, but by around 6:15 or 18, we should have to conclude this session so that we have to go for the next one so that
Yeah,
we
I'll
can
take
be
up,
aligned with.
sir, I'll take up questions if at all there are, or maybe input or criticism or, support to what I'm saying.
Okay, so
I would be
before
happy
that,
to
as
take
per
up.
our protocol, so thank you so much for delivering this interactive session and many things you have been just put it here, even though there was something that surprised to every participants also. But before that, as our protocol, we are going for the cross picture or as well as the group picture of everyone's. Then the another 10 minutes are there for question and answer. So please just down your screen sharing so that everyone can come to the screen. Just 30 minutes 30 seconds of the clicking to photo I have to click, and then we are going to that consuming your time, that 8 to 10 minutes.
I've closed my screen.
Yes, you have to just stop the sharing so that
I'll take up a question if at all the
yeah,
seniors
but
and friends
after
have.
30 seconds. So this
Yeah,
is
sure.
because we have here around 8 to 10 minutes we have to consume, then we are going for the another session. That
Sure.
is the CHRO panel, and there are the panelists already are in the session. So I would invite them later on after this 8 to 10 minutes. So first you just down your that the screen sharing so that
I've,
everyone can come onto the same screen.
I've stopped screen sharing.
But it is visible here.
Now is it okay?
Maybe it take 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. So reason is that maybe yeah, it is okay now. The low bandwidth. So now
Okay.
everyone, yeah, please everyone open your screen as per your our protocol from the morning. Since yesterday we have the same protocol so that we can connect everyone on the LinkedIn as well as you can connect to the speakers also. So this is we are creating not just an one-to-one learning, it is the creating a big bond. So this should not be that as Sanjay Sudhar has been really said that when we learn anything, so maybe after 18 hour we are going to forget that. So it is rightly, it would be available into the LinkedIn right away. You can click there when this that the conference had happened, as well as what we have learned. So everything we are putting there. So there are 21 participants. So out of this, I can see only 13 people as of the screen. Everyone, please come on the screen. 30-second, 2 clicks. We have only 5 minutes to jump into the discussion, panel discussion. So yes, please, everyone, please come to the screen. There are many people, so I have to just check out who are not here. Krushanand had joined. Narendra Patel, Monali iPhone, Mr. Shamil, Manohara is not on screen right away. Please, everyone, not more than 30 seconds I am taking. So first shot I am taking here with the 13 participants only. Okay, the first one has done. So just wait for the another one. So far, the another no other participants has been come out with their beautiful face and handsome faces. However, it is enough for us. So thank you so much, everyone. Okay, there is one. Yes, Mr. Shamil is there now. So I can see the full screen. So thank you so much. It has been done the 2 shots. So now the questions may ask to Sanjay ji. And the screen is over to Sanjay ji. All the question answer. Next
Yeah,
4 minutes.
Please, I'll be happy to address all the questions that.
Sir, may I ask you?
Yeah, Rubin, please.
Yeah, it's a little bit different question. It's not so technical about IR, but I'm having
Yeah.
one ambiguity. Many times when we are going through this disciplinary process or the IR related issue or ER related issue, we find ourselves being a IR or ER head that we are in a reactive mode. Though the policy frameworking and the other parts are very much integral with this particular process. Don't you think that our industry thoughts need to be changed, that instead of reactive things we should be involved in the conclusive this HR related fundamentals as well?
Sir, let me crystallize your answer into two different parts. One is we are never reactive. Let me differ from you first at a first instance, saying that in addition to your HR and IR skill, the most important skill in HR and IR both is your and my networking skill. Okay, before actual problem comes to your table, we should know that problem. Maybe if, something like an FIR. Okay,
Yeah.
before somebody knows that problem, we should know that problem. In that case, we will never be reactive. Number one. Number two is you should have. I mean, we should have to have our spies inside the premises that we are working. Okay, I mean it is really very difficult to develop that kind of networking. Okay, but this is what exactly the proactive IR is. Number one, number two, number three is when there are multiplicity of union. ये जो skill है ना वो necessity बन जाता है. Okay, if you don't have this skill of having no network, then you are really in trouble. I am saying because I have experienced it long back. तो you should have to have our own spies inside the ये पूरा detective agency का काम है. Our own detective agency, I am saying. So that this is how we become proactive. This is number one. Number two is जितने भी IR के लोग हैं ना, this is my experience. Maybe I may be wrong, but they run away from the law. This is what I have seen. They are afraid of law. Number one. Number two is one is afraid of law. Number two is getting further confused when they read verdict. ओके तो बोलते हैं सर ये तो कायदे में ऐसा लिखा है बट वर्डिक्ट इज सेइंग दिस व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज एन एक्चुअल मीनिंग तो this is a fire prone kind of situation wherein over a period of maybe 5-10 years you develop a different kind of a cognizant so as to become seasoned IR person. Seasoned. I met with I was delivering a lecture to one very prominent college. They know, those students know even what is there in the Japanese law, what is there in the China's law, and there are some of the HRIR people who are not aware of an Indian laws. तो ये जो gap analysis है ना, this is what I in the beginning said. Thanks to Mr. Sanghvi ji saying thanks for arranging such kind of programs. Abhi every day if you somebody talking about the leadership has become very prominent subject that everybody stands up and talking about leadership does not talk about IR leaders. This is what exactly an answer to the answer to the question that you have. It is the most sine qua non factor for becoming successful HR.
Got it, sir. Thank you very much.
It is, I think I'm with you. I've explained you the way it was expected. Any other input addition to what I am saying? Because I worked with a company wherein the HR is completely a different pillar by itself and IR is completely a different pillar by itself.
Yeah, sir. Here I just wanted to paraphrase my question. My question was
please.
you have enumerated one particular segment of that question, but my question was where the
What is left
pillar
out?
of IR and HR is different. The vertical of IR and HR is different. When the IR man need to be involved through this particular performance measuring design also, but in many cases it is missing for the organization. However, the IR man has to be, back calculate and react on that particular situation when the performance is not coming and you need to remove that guy. So from that particular point of view, I'm asking whether this reactive approach from the IR individual is necessity, or organization need to be change their mindset, or the management need to change their mindset that IR man is not only for the grievance mitigation, grievance redressal and this union related issues. They are also having a effective role to handle from this performance and core HR related activities as well.
Sir, your question is very right, but not for this conference. On an outside, on the offline, I'll explain you this very differently, because the seniors also need to be taught lessons. Okay, so if the senior doesn't understand the importance of fire, there are ways and means to tell them I am there for you, and if I am not there, you are there. So you use a different language and try to. This is otherwise known as an influencing, competence. So ये सब करना कुछ थोड़ा सा अलग है, because I have done it when I was in trouble, nobody behind me.
Exactly, sir.
So, okay, so I was alone, but I've never worried saying I'm alone is more than enough, so I don't want anyone. So we
IR is
moved ahead
generally
like
dealt
this.
separately, sir. What
But
I
we deal
see,
it, we will deal
HR,
it separately.
though IR reports to HR, but HR has a bigger facet of work, what I generally see,
Yes, exactly.
what
And
is
then,
generally going on in organizations.
yes, so you need to develop different skills to make sure that your profession is enlightened with whatever professions you are in. I'm not saying HR, IR, CSR, or whatever. But these are all different skills to influence the management, saying that if I am not there, you will not be anywhere. I'm saying.
Correct.
So this is, I mean, using a polished language, one has to talk to, management in a different fashion, giving sarcastic, messages and all that. So we will talk in case of, So this is what I do in different
Great,
programs
sir.
which I conduct.
Excellent
Yeah, please
message,
go ahead.
Sanjay ji. You have shared
Yeah,
good
yeah, please.
data, and I really appreciate for that. Really
Yeah.
great points, and the systematic way of the entire show was very good. Sanjay ji, thank you so much.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you
very
so
much.
much, everyone. So
Thank
it
you,
is
sir.
now
Thank you.
6:18. So one
Yeah,
single
please.
question we can pick up. So by 18:20,
Yeah.
we have to jump into the another's the panel discussion. So last
Yeah.
if there is any question, anyone, maybe Shard was raising the Kolekar was raising the hand. If the question is there,
Yeah,
you can
please,
ask.
please.
Only 1 minute is there.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
asking about as far as the current scenario is concerned, the IR persons are very demanded in the organization, especially in the manufacturing industry. But IR people are being taken very seriously by the company. But IR persons are facing a different local challenges. There are the political pressure is also involved. The people are getting the threatening. Sometimes management are not supporting to them. So according to your opinion, Sanjay sir, what are the strategies that the IR person has to take care?
Sir, I have counter question to ask you that देखो हम when we talk about employee data,
right?
Say अभी if you go back to your place and demand that मुझे employee data दे दो, so what data you get is age, sex, qualification, then वगैरह वगैरह. But you don't get a data on how many people are trained on leadership, how many people are communication, how many people are on networking. तो ये जब भी हमारे हाथ में फिंगर टिप्स पे आ जाएगा, आई एम सेइंग फिंगर टिप्स,
Right?
okay, so then we will be able to manage the show very well. Number one. Number two is when the code comes into picture, recognition of a trade union is going to be center of the question that you are raising.
Right?
Because in India today, it is only 3 states which has the recognition of trade union duly legalized. But now it is going to be all 29 states. So these are all finally what? It is a number games only. Okay. And it will have a geopolitical impact on inside of the manufacturing.
Absolutely correct.